Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into one of nature's, well, ultimate performance machines, the falcons, the genus Falco.
That's right. Incredible birds.
Yeah, and we're not just here to say, oh, they fly fast. We want to dig into the really surprising stuff, how they hunt, their anatomy.
Especially their family tree. That's where things get really unexpected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to sift through the biology, the history, all the sources we've looked at, and basically pull out the most compelling, maybe non-obvious facts for you. By the end of this, you should have a really clear picture of why these birds are just different.
And that difference is key. We are focusing strictly on the genus Falco. That's about, what, 40 species?
Around 40.
And they're incredibly successful. You find them pretty much everywhere, right? Every continent except Antarctica.
Though not currently in Antarctica.
Right, not today. But it's interesting, other closely related raptors did live there way, way back. We're talking tens of millions of years ago in the Eocene.
Wow, okay. But let's start with the headline feature, the thing everyone associates with falcons.
Speed.
Absolutely.
The numbers are just staggering, aren't they?
Yeah.
What are we actually talking about?
We're talking about the world record holder. Full stop. The peregrine falcon is the fastest animal on Earth, period.
In a dive, specifically.
In a dive, yes. Or stoop, as it's called in falconry terms. They're regularly clocked diving at 320 kilometers per hour.
Which is about 200 miles per hour.
Exactly. But the fastest ever recorded vertical dive, that hit 390 kilometers per hour.
240 miles per hour,
Yeah.
straight down. That's just hard to even imagine.
It really is. It requires an incredibly specialized body.
So how does their wing structure make that possible? It must be perfectly designed.
Oh, absolutely. The adult falcons, they have these very distinct wings, thin, quite tapered,
Sleek.
very sleek, and that shape is crucial. It lets them cut through the air with minimal drag, but also allows for those really rapid changes in direction you need when you're chasing something fast.
Makes sense. But what's maybe even more interesting is what the young birds have.
Oh, how are they different?
Well, fledglings birds, in their first year, they actually have longer flight feathers. Broader, too.
So less specialized.
Kind of, yeah. It gives them a wing shape that's more like a general-purpose bird. It makes flying easier, more stable, while they're still learning the ropes,
Yeah.
mastering those incredibly difficult aerial hunting skills.
Ah, okay. So they effectively get a set of learner wings before they graduate to the high-speed adult version.
That's a great way to put it. It's a really elegant biological trade-off.
So they've got the speed, the aerodynamics, but how do they actually kill their prey? And how is that different from, say, a big eagle?
Right, this is probably the defining feature of the whole falco genus. It sets them apart. Falcons kill prey with their beaks.
With their beaks, not their talons. I always picture eagles grabbing things with those huge feet.
Exactly. That's the key difference. Hawks, eagles, kites, all those birds in the other big raptor family, the Accipitridae, they primarily use the crushing power of their talons.
Right.
Falcons, though, use a special feature on their beak. It's called the tomial tooth.
A tooth on a beak.
Well, it's not a real tooth like ours, obviously. It's a sharp notch, a projection on the side of the upper beak. And they use this tooth to quickly sever the spinal cord of their prey, usually at the neck.
Wow. Like a precise surgical strike.
Pretty much. It's incredibly efficient, especially for prey caught midair after one of those high-speed stoops. A quick, clean kill.
A tool perfectly suited to their hunting style. And to make that strike at 240 miles per hour, the vision must be extraordinary.
Oh, it's phenomenal. There was one study, they measured the visual acuity in one falcon species. It was 2.6 times better than a human's.
2.6 times.
Yeah. If you're moving that fast, you absolutely need the visual processing power to match incredible detail, depth perception tracking.
Okay, so I've got the physics, the weapon, the targeting system. Let's switch gears a bit and talk about the name. Falco. Linnaeus gave it that name in 1758. Where does falco come from?
It's late Latin. Comes from the word falx or faltis.
And that means?
A sickle, like the farming tool.
A sickle. Why a sickle?
Well, interestingly, it seems to refer specifically to the shape of the bird's claws, that curved shape. Not the beak or the speed, but the talons.
Huh. That's not what I would have guessed. And that Latin root gives us some other interesting terms, especially from falconry, right? Like tercel, the male falcon.
Ah, yes, tercel or sometimes tiercel. There are a couple of ideas about its origin.
Okay.
One older idea, which isn't really accepted much now, connects it to the Latin tertius, meaning third. Based on this old, mistaken belief that only 1 out of every 3 eggs hatched a male.
Oh, that sounds like folklore.
Pretty much, yeah. The much more accepted explanation is simpler. The male falcon is typically about one-third smaller than the female.
One-third smaller. So the name literally comes from the size difference.
Seems like it, yes.
Yeah.
It reflects that reversed sexual dimorphism you see in many birds of prey, but it's quite pronounced in falcons.
And that size difference is important ecologically, isn't it?
Hugely important. Because the female is larger, she can often take larger prey than the male. So a breeding pair isn't competing directly for the exact same food sources. It broadens their collective menu, so to speak.
That makes sense. And speaking of size, the variation across the genus Falco is just massive.
Oh, enormous. You go from the absolute giant of the group, the gerfalcon found way up in the Arctic.
How big are they?
They can be up to 65 centimeters long, a really imposing bird.
Okay, huge.
And then at the other end of the scale, you have the pygmy falcon in Africa. Tiny little thing, barely 20 centimeters long.
Wow, from 65 down to 20 centimeters. But they all share that same basic body plan, the tapered wings, the toenail tooth.
That's the unifying factor, yes.
Yeah.
Despite the incredible size range, they all have that core Falco toolkit.
It's kind of amazing. Okay, let's make a big shift now from how they look and hunt to where they came from, their evolutionary story. For a long time, everyone just lumped falcons in with hawks and eagles, right? Just birds of prey.
That was the traditional view, based purely on apparent inference, the hooked beak, the talons, the predatory lifestyle.
But modern genetics threw a massive curveball into that neat picture.
A huge one. Completely rewrote the family tree. Now, we do have very old fossils that are definitely falconids, part of the broader falcon family. Some go back as far as 55 million years ago.
Okay, so the lineage is ancient.
The lineage is ancient, but the real shocker came from sequencing their DNA, comparing their genes to other birds.
All right, lay it on us. If they aren't close relatives of hawks and eagles, what are they related to?
Okay, brace yourself. Despite looking and acting like the quintessential raptor, molecular studies show very clearly that falcons are not closely related to those other birds of prey in Accipitridæ.
Okay. So who are their cousins?
Their closest living relatives are parrots and songbirds.
Get out! Parrots and songbirds, like sparrows and budgies.
Exactly, parrots and passerines. That's their closest family.
That must have turned ornithology upside down.
Oh, it caused quite a stir.
Yeah.
It means that the whole raptor body plan, the sharp beak, the talons, the hunting adaptations, evolved completely independently in falcons.
So it's convergent evolution. They ended up looking like hawks because they do a similar job, but they came from a totally different starting point.
Precisely. It's one of the most stunning examples of convergent evolution in the bird world. They arrived at the raptor solution from a completely different branch of the avian tree. Incredible.
Okay. And where did this lineage likely start geographically?
Well, based on where we find the fossils and the distribution of living species, the best guess points towards an origin in either North America, Africa, or maybe the Middle East or Europe. It's still debated, but they clearly spread out globally from somewhere in the Northern Hemisphere or Africa.
They definitely got around. So with 40 species spread across the globe doing slightly different things, how do scientists make sense of them all? Are there subgroups within Falco?
Yeah, there are. To make it manageable, biologists usually talk about 4 informal groups. It's not super strict taxonomy, but it's based on their general size, appearance, and, importantly, their hunting style. It's a really helpful way to think about them.
Okay, let's break those down. What's the first group?
First up, you've got the kestrels. These are typically the smaller, often stockier falcons. Think brown plumage on the back, often quite patterned.
And they're known for?
Hovering. That's their signature move. You'll see them hanging stationary in the air over fields or roadsides, scanning the ground below.
What are they looking for?
Mostly things on the ground. Small mammals like voles, lizards, big insects. They're ground hunters, primarily. And you could even split them further. Some kestrels have that classic dark Miller stripe under the eye, like the common kestrel, while others, like the lesser kestrel, don't really have it.
Okay, so kestrels, small, brown, hoverers, ground prey. Got it. Group number 2.
Second group, the hobbies. These guys are generally a bit larger than kestrels. They tend to have a lot of dark slate gray in their plumage.
And Mallard stripe.
Almost always present and usually very bold, gives them a sort of masked look.
And their hunting style, are they hoverers too?
No, hobbies are built for speed and agility in the air. They are primarily hunters of other birds, often catching swallows, martins, or even dragonflies on the wing. They're incredibly fast and acrobatic flyers, often hunting at dawn and dusk.
Aerial acrobats. Okay. Group 3 must be the big guns, right?
Third group, the peregrine group. This is where you find the peregrine falcon itself, the speed champ. These are powerful falcons. The sizes vary quite a bit within the group. They usually have that black malar stripe and often a distinct black cap or hood.
And their patterning.
Typically, quite finely patterned underneath, often with clear, horizontal bars across the belly and chest. Very crisp looking.
And they hunt.
They're versatile. They take medium-sized birds in spectacular high-speed stoops, but also mammals and other terrestrial vertebrates. They're the classic, powerful, all-round falcon.
Right, and the last group, you mentioned 4.
The fourth group, the hierofalcons, sometimes called the hawk falcons.
Hawk falcons, why?
Because honestly, they look a bit more like hawks than the other groups do. They often have more reddish-brown or gray-brown colors, and their patterns can be more complex, more streaky, or mottled.
Okay, so less of the clean slate gray and barring.
Exactly. And a key difference. Look at their undersides. Instead of horizontal bars like the peregrine group, hierofalcons tend to have patterns running lengthwise, streaks, blotches, arrowhead shapes.
Ah, okay, that's a good visual clue.
Yeah. Think gerfalcon, saker falcon, lanner falcon. Those are hierofalcons. And what's really interesting is that this group is evolutionarily quite young. They only seem to have emerged in the last couple of million years.
Only 2 million. That's super recent in evolutionary terms.
It really is. A relatively new branch of the falco tree.
Okay, so those 4 groups, kestrels, hobbies, peregrines, and hierofalcons, help sort out the diversity. Let's just throw out a few specific names to reinforce this. We've mentioned the peregrine, Falco peregrinus, found basically everywhere.
The ultimate cosmopolitan.
And in North America, the bird many people call the sparrowhawk is actually
The American kestrel, Falcos barvarius. A true kestrel, despite the common name.
right. And the biggest one again? The Arctic specialists.
That's the gerfalcon, Falco rusticulus, the king of the hierofalcons, found across Greenland, Arctic Canada, Iceland, northern Scandinavia, and Russia.
And sadly, some species haven't made it.
No. Like the reunion kestrel, Falco duboisi, it went extinct around 1700, likely due to human activity after the island was settled, a reminder of their vulnerability.
Definitely. Now, going back even further into the fossil record, you mentioned it can be tricky identifying ancient falcons. Taxonomy isn't always straightforward.
Not at all. The fossil record for birds is often fragmentary, small, delicate bones don't preserve well. And sometimes initial interpretations are just wrong.
What? Any examples?
Well, there was a fossil found in Italy, initially named Falco pissanus. Everyone thought, okay, an ancient falcon.
Makes sense.
But later analysis, looking more closely at the bone structure, turned out it wasn't a falcon at all.
What was it?
It was a pigeon from the genus Columba.
A pigeon. Wow, that's quite a mix-up. From a predator to, well, prey.
Exactly. It highlights how careful scientists have to be. And speaking of scientific correction, you mentioned the hierofalcons in DNA earlier. There was a bit of a story there, wasn't there, about their placement on the family tree?
Yes, the NUMT issue. Okay, so initially, some genetic studies seemed to show that the hierofalcons were basal.
Meaning they were really old, like representing the earliest branch of the living falcon.
Exactly, that they split off first from the ancestor of all modern falco. That was the interpretation of some early mitochondrial DNA data.
Okay.
But then scientists discovered something called NUMT. That stands for nuclear mitochondrial DNA sequence.
The nuclear mitochondrial, that sounds contradictory.
It does. Basically, mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, is what we usually use for tracking recent evolution because it's separate from the main nuclear DNA and mutates relatively quickly.
Right, inherited from the mother.
Yes. But sometimes, purely by chance, a chunk of that mtDNA gets copied and accidentally inserted into the DNA in the cell's nucleus, an NUMT.
Okay, a misplaced copy.
Exactly. And these NMNTs are often degraded or evolve differently once they're in the nucleus. If researchers accidentally sequence this fossil NUMT sequence from the nuclear DNA, thinking it's the real functional mtDNA from the mitochondria,
It messes up the results.
big time. It can make lineages look much older or younger than they really are.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with hierofalcons.
So they found NUMT.
They found the specific NUMT that had skewed the initial results. Once they identified it and analyzed the actual mitochondrial DNA properly, it completely changed the picture.
And confirmed.
That the hierofalcons are not basal at all. They are indeed a very recent group, confirming that 2 million year origin we talked about earlier. That's fascinating. A tiny bit of misplaced DNA rewriting evolutionary history. It really shows how science corrects itself.
Absolutely. It's a process.
Okay, let's try and pull all these threads together then. We've covered the incredible speed, that unique hunting tool, the toemeal tooth.
And the absolute bombshell that their closest relatives are parrots and songbirds, not other raptors.
Right. And the four main groups: kestrels, hobbies, peregrines, and the recent hierofalcons.
When you look at the timeline, what really stands out is how fast much of this diversification happened. Those main groups, the kestrels, hobbies, peregrines, they really radiated, split into different forms between about 5.3 and 2.4 million years ago.
Okay, and what was happening in the world back then?
That period, the transition from the Miocene to the Pliocene epoch, was a time of major global environmental change. Crucially, it saw a huge expansion of open habitats, grasslands, savannas spreading across the continents.
Ah, so the world opened up.
Exactly. And it seemed like that opening up of the landscape provided the perfect opportunity, the perfect ecological stage for falcons to diversify rapidly. New niches opened up, favoring different hunting styles.
So the rise of grasslands literally fueled the evolution of these different falcon types. They didn't just adapt, they exploded onto the scene.
It really looks that way. The changing environment seems to have been a major driver for their relatively rapid specialization.
It's incredible. So a final thought for everyone listening.
Well, I think next time you see a bird of prey soaring overhead, whether it's hanging still like a kestrel or rocketing past like a peregrine, just remember you're looking at this ancient lineage, yes, but one that's also a product of surprisingly recent rapid evolution. And they're still adapting.
And maybe try to figure out which group it belongs to.
Definitely. Think about how it's behaving, what it looks like. Is it a hoverer, a high-speed hunter, maybe one of the hawk falcons? See if you can spot the dominant group in your local area. It's a great way to start your own deep dive into these amazing birds.